Hello and welcome to the Target Transfers podcast, the podcast for garment decorators. My name is Andy. I'm joined by Molly.
Hello everyone. Sorry, I'm just double checking our audio is working on Instagram. We're all good. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. Very excited to be doing a 1 year anniversary of the podcast.
No, I can't believe it's been a whole year since we started.
Yeah.
Launched it at P&P last year.
P&P, yep, 2022. So today's episode is all about us answering your questions. So we thought because it was a year, we'd do a bit of a Q&A session because it's been a while since we did one of those, and we wanted to just get you to answer absolutely any questions. So if you've got any questions, joining us on either Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Get those questions in because we'd love to hear about what you're up to, what you'd like help with, anything at all that we could possibly help you with. That's what today's episode's all about.
We've got lots of people joining us on Instagram already, which is
brilliant.
Fantastic. Before we get started though, I didn't know if you wanted to discuss the ever so slight name change that we did recently. For those of you that have been subscribed since the beginning, you will know this podcast that we're doing right now as the Target Transfers podcast. It's still technically the Target Transfers podcast, but we have spun it ever so slightly to be the Garment Decorators podcast. So as much as obviously we are Target Transfers and we do host the podcast, we wanted to make sure that everything that we did was, helpful to garment decorators and not just about us as a company, really, because everything we do is to help you guys at home, the heat printers, the garment decorators. So we've changed it ever so slightly, but still the same podcast that you know and love. I think
an important part of why we started doing this podcast was we wanted to make sure that we could help everyone with anything to do with their business. We know that we're lucky enough to be part of the Styles Group, which is a large international group. So we have lots of experts in absolutely every single aspect of business available to us. So that's why we want to make sure that we can provide value to absolutely every one of our customers that way. And hopefully we can help you all grow and become more successful with a few tips and tricks with regards to heat printing or marketing or business process or anything to do with your business. So that's why I really want to get people to get those questions in today to see what we can help you with. And if you never even if you've never done garment decorating before or you're relatively new to us, just ask us absolutely anything because we really we'll cover anything, either entry level, advanced, you name it. We've got you covered basically.
It feels really strange to be doing a podcast live because normally we record them beforehand in advance, but also to do our Friday lunchtime live, sat down in chairs.
I know,
I've got
it's
my
quite
coffee.
Luxury.
This is so nice. Normally we're up and doing demos and things, but no, I'm really enjoying this setup. We should make a regular thing of it.
So I guess before we get started, we got any questions coming in yet?
No, I'm just checking. We haven't. Those of you on Instagram, get those questions in because I'm watching you.
All right. Well, have you had any particular highlights of the podcast or anything you particularly enjoyed?
I think the main highlight for me has been watching the podcast grow to where we are today, because I remember recording our first ever episode in our conference room just across the road. And it was technically our test episode. We didn't intend to actually publish it, but it was seamless. So we thought, well, why not just start? And then it snowballed from there. So I think the fact that we started it, we could see the vision and we could see what we wanted it to become. And to look at where we are now, so the amount of topics that we've covered, the guests that we've had on, the things we've talked about, the people we've helped, just seeing all of that, looking back on that over a year has been probably my highlight. I mean, all of the guests that we've had on have been fantastic. Stephen was a fantastic one. He's always a laugh. Taffy was great. He's been on a couple of times. Darren, we've had, all the partners, Rallowise, Bella Canvas, all of that. So it's been a busy year. I'm very impressed that we've, made it this far. What about you? What have you enjoyed about it?
For me, it's a chance to share people's stories further than, everyone I meet, and when we often come around to talk about marketing with customers is, you've got to tell your story more. And I'd encourage many of the people who are probably listening at the moment thinking about either starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, because you can get a lot of business out of it. But it's really interesting hearing people's stories that they think are unremarkable, but when you start to get into it and hear their journey, I think it's really interesting. And heat printing can be a solitary business at times for people.
Yeah.
So I think it's really nice to be able to share other people's stories with other heat printers, so they know that they're not alone, and there's probably hopefully something they could probably learn from other heat printers as well, which is always really good.
The funny thing is, whenever we've had heat printers on in the past and they talk about, you know, little, I don't know, maybe like habits they've gotten into or things that they find funny, and they always think they're the only one, and then they say it amongst heat printing friends and we all laugh about it. But when you say it to, I don't know, a member of your family or your partner or whoever, they don't get it. So I think it's nice for them as well to come on and, you know, actually talk about, you know, their passion project to people that are just obsessed with it as they are. Because, you know, I'm pretty sure their partners probably get bored of it eventually. We have had an Instagram question, actually.
Let's go for it.
We've had somebody saying, I'm doing a very small batch of levers hoodies using your transfers. However, I only have a Cricut press, in brackets, sorry. Yeah, you should be. What temperature setting, pressure and time would you advise? Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. How do you advise pressure on a handheld, Andy?
It's difficult because I guess it depends if you're using ultra color or a 1 to 5 color screen, because obviously
follow up on that. That would be
transfers will be different. So if it's ultra color, you're going to be fusing at 120 degrees, and if it is 1 to 5 color screen, it'll be 160, and it'll be 12 seconds for ultra color or 10 seconds for screen. Both are going to be a cold pill.
Yeah.
But the thing to kind of that I'd probably do if I'm using a Cricut press is if you have any kind of thermometer or even like
screen,
1 to 5 color screen, so 160, which will be a little bit harder on the easy press, because the only thing you have to kind of bear in mind is that the temperature will fluctuate a little bit more with the easy press. It's not always to the degree like you might expect with the Hotronics. So if you've got any kind of thermometer or meat probe or something that can do an instant read on temperature, I would recommend trying to just double check what the temperature your press is actually at, because that is 160 can be a bit of a struggle for some of the handheld presses. Sometimes they can be sort of 10 to 15 degrees out, which might cause you a little bit of an issue. And even on the biggest Cricut press, size might be a bit of an issue in terms of how you would actually use the press. You'd probably have to do it in chunks. Yeah, so you probably press for a bit, press another little bit, press another little bit, press for a bit more. But I guess ultimately, if you've got any spare material or spare transfers, it's just a test first, really. Because that way you can kind of try and find a recipe that works with the Cricut press then.
On the plus side, with it being cold peel, it's not like you're fusing a bit and then you have to peel it and fuse it and peel it. You can go round, fuse all of it, then peel the whole thing off. That's the one bonus.
And just let it go really cold probably as well.
That's all we've had on Instagram so far. If we have any other ones, we'd be pleased to answer them. Have you got one?
One from LinkedIn. Julie would like to know the best way to print beauty bags that are fake leather. So this is a really good question.
Ones that we saw.
So it's possible to heat print on pretty much any fabric, but it's just a case of trying to find the recipe again, even just like the levers hoodies really. But when it comes to sort of fake leather, there's a bit more of a nuance to the actual testing required with it. So it definitely is possible. It really comes down to the coating of the fake leather, how it's been treated at the end. So you can only feel it if it's got a slight sheen or perhaps a lot of plastic nature to it. It's always just to be really careful when test. I would assume, and in most of the time when we're printing onto fake leather, it's often using a grip flex, which is really key.
Okay.
So I would say
that be? Because it's more sensitive.
Yeah, because it's sensitive. You want to try and protect fake leather doesn't really want to be heated that much.
Yeah.
So using grip flex, which is kind of like a Teflon pad, is something that can be really helpful because it adds just an extra protective layer between the top platen and the bag that way.
Would you have to change the temperature if you're using grip flex?
So probably you want to add maybe 5 to 10 degrees on top of the temperature that's recommended, mostly because the grip flex is going to retain some of the heat. So that way, by the time it actually gets to the bag, it's might have lost 5 to 10 degrees because it's in the grip flex pad still. Additionally, as well, I would depending on the size of the bag, you're going to want to use either a lower platen to isolate, because it's bound to have zips or seams on it. So either
Depends on how big it is as well.
yeah, so either a lower platen, if you can, will be the best solution, or failing that, perhaps a print perfect pad, but just anything to kind of push the printable area up on it as well.
Isolate it away from all those.
That's it. Isolate it, so that way the only part that's getting heat is the part that's going to have the decoration on it.
Yeah.
Avoid it on the rest of it.
Do you think it would work if you had something like I'm staring at the 360, but something with like a heated lower platen? Do you think that would make much of a difference on leather, or is it more only because I'm thinking of the temperature coming through? Obviously, Gritflex, if it would work the other way.
It really depends on the shape of the bag.
Okay. How thick it is, I guess.
Yeah, how thick it is, what sort of seams and pockets are inside the bag. If it was just the material going onto a lower platen, then that would work absolutely fine as well. Yeah. You could definitely do that way. But probably it's going to be Gritflex with either a pad or a lower platen. And then I would use, if using a transfer, should be fine because they're all stretchy. If you're doing vinyl, try and go for a stretchy vinyl. So if it's just a single color like flat vinyl, go with Premium Plus rather than sports film, because that way, as the bag can kind of got a bit of movement and a bit of a wiggle room in terms of, it might be filled with beauty products, or it might have none in there when it's first ready, so that way it can expand and retract with the shape of the bag and whoever's using it that way.
Yeah. I saw someone printing on the other day. It was really cool. I don't know if it might not be your forte, but they were these like makeup bag things, and it's a big circle and it has a drawstring around the edge. And then you just pull it up and the whole thing goes like that. So then rather than having to I'm sure you dig through your bag and
all the time,
lipstick out.
Yep.
But you know what I mean when you're trying to find something in a bag. But it was really cool. It just laid out flat. But I was thinking that's when sort of Premium Plus would be ideal, because even though it goes from flat to crunched up a little bit, you still want to make sure you've got that movement in there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was quite a good idea, and easy to heat print on as well, because it's just one big circle. So you can just put it over the platen. Oh, we've got another question.
Got a follow-up. I tried that before, and the leather just came off the bag. I think I wonder if maybe the transfer. It really depends. The best thing to do if you're having trouble with that, Julie, is just to give us a call, because there's always many solutions, and it might just take you an hour or two's worth of testing. When you're doing sort of hard to decorate products, it's just a kind of, it's building up from step by step. So like I said, that's why the platen's really quite an important one, because if it's how isolate that area, it could be that the seams are still getting in the way of the printable area.
Yeah, the pressure could be affected.
Today. Like, the best thing to do is give us a call or send us an email to info@targettransfers.com and just let us know every variation of testing that you've done so far, because then we can either ourselves or one of the experts within the building can have a look at it. That way you can let us know which bag specifically is, so we can have a look at the material and analyze any other kind of material, any other transfers or vinyl types that we might recommend on using it.
Yeah, and when Andy says about testing as well, we mean it. Like, we are, those of you might already know, we're sort of producing a bit of a how to fuse onto sportswear garments video series that's coming out later this year. And Andy and I spent 3-4 hours yesterday just testing a few different types of transfers on different products, so that we can be sure that what we're telling you is 100% accurate. But that was just for our own knowledge, like testing. And, we fused onto things like leggings before, sweatshirts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We still tested every single product with every single transfer and vinyl to be 100% sure. And that's, coming from the experts, we still do that. So if you're working with a new product or a new material or decoration method, always test them first. Yeah,
it's definitely possible though, because we've fused onto footballs and football boots before. It's just a case, there might be just another sort of temperature recommendation we might advise to. So, but just always get in touch if you're ever stuck. There's dedicated people in this building here to help you always.
So we've had another question on Instagram asking if we ship to Australia.
I don't believe we do. It might be that we do ship to Australia, but I would say that it would be really quite expensive for you.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that though, would we? It would be the US side of the business.
It'd probably more like to come from Europe than anywhere else, because it would be closer.
Yeah.
the thing to do is just to try and go onto a website. All the pricing is on the delivery page, which you can find in the footer of the website, and it'll give you absolutely everything you need to know there. But I just imagine it would be a little bit expensive, unfortunately, from the UK.
Unfortunately, we don't yet have a base in Australia. I'm more than happy to go and set one of those up for you, Andy, if you'd like. But at the moment, we do not. That's it on Instagram at the moment.
Okay. Question, someone like to know any advice for getting more business?
My favourite tip, which is something we've covered at length in multiple episodes, is look at the business on your doorstep. That's one of the most famous tips that we've given out on the podcast, you know, whether it's restaurants, pubs and bars, or whether it's businesses around your local area, anything like that. There is probably going to be 10, 20, if not more businesses that are available for you to approach for new business within 5-10 miles of your home. So that is probably where I would start. Yeah,
if you get the chance, I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago we did a little bit of a quiz on localization, didn't we?
One of my favorite episodes. Yes, that is the most recent localization business on your doorstep podcast for those of you watching.
So we went through some of the examples of what is available here within walking distance of our innovation center, and it was quite mind-blowing the amount of things like construction and manufacturing that are just available within a stone's throw really of the Target Transfers HQ. But we kind of went through how to look into finding those places. We've got quite a few blogs up as well on our website as well, targettransfers.com, where we go into a bit more detail about what you should be searching for in Google to find it. But like census information is really easy to find, so you can kind of see who is local to you and then just start searching business types, so maybe customers that you've already got, and then you can see if you can find more of the similar types of customers that way as well. So you can be like, if there's a particular niche that you're working within or you've kind of found yourself within, that would be a good place to start. I'd also say just to get your story out there, get your business out there a lot more. So make sure you're leveraging all the different social channels and kind of giving people a reason to buy into you and your business and why they should be buying from you.
Yeah, that's a big one. Personal branding.
Yeah. I think that's something that we perhaps don't see enough of in the UK, but there's a lot of potential for it. You see, if anyone's part of the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, then you can see some of the ways that the sort of fellow sort of peers in the US are conducting themselves and getting more business. There's a lot of really great ideas out there for how you can improve your presence and thus get more business that way too.
Yeah, it really does make a big difference because, I mean, I know personally I tend to buy from brands that I feel like I have more of a personal connection with, whether it's a big brand or a smaller brand. If you feel like you've been given a bit of an insight or a bit more, I don't know, loyalty reward in a way from, I can't really explain it, but you do just have that sort of connection and you're more likely to buy, or when the customers come to that decision-making process, whether it's, you know, tomorrow, next week or in a year's time, they're still going to be more likely to, you know, contact you. So, and I think initially with personal branding and posting online and things like that, it feels slow at first because it does take months, if not a year or more, to build up that presence. But, you know, people are watching and people are tuned in all the time. So just stick with it would be my biggest piece of advice. And eventually you'll start to see the growth. But it does take a while and it does feel like, sometimes can feel like you're not really getting anywhere, I suppose.
Okay, so we've got a question from Connor who would like to know, how long have we been doing the business for? So I should clarify that it's not myself and Molly's business. But so the building that we're in, so we're in the Target Transfers HQ, and Target Transfers has been manufacturing heat transfers in Braintree for about 44 years. So a long time. They're one of the UK's leading heat transfer manufacturer for a reason. They've got a really rich heritage of manufacturing heat transfers and heat transfer innovation. But we're also part of the Styles Group, and the Styles Group is actually 91 years old. So the Styles Group started off in East Coast America in 1932 doing die-cut letters. And a lot of the fantastic innovations you enjoy today when it comes to garment decorating is all because of the Styles family. So they were the first to sort of popularize and bring out most heat transfer vinyl types. They led nearly every innovation there is in heat presses. So even just tiny things about how thick a platen is, having a digital timer and a digital pressure readout, everything like that has always been Stahl's. So sort of 91 years now of history of heat printing and garment decorating. And there's a reason that they're still going 91 years later, because there's always such a keen interest in innovation as well. So everything is always what's better, how can we make everyone's life easier. So yeah, it's been a long time. I've been here about 5.5 years, I think.
Almost
three for you, Molly. So yeah, so we've been here for a little while, but the building we're in has been here for 40 odd years, and Stahl's has been around for over 90 years now.
Way before we ever
existed. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the heat press for pros? So obviously Hottronics is the choice of a lot of big sports in America, like the Miami Heat and the NFL draft. And that's obviously for a reason, because they're the best heat presses. So how did those partnerships sort of come about, or can you give everyone a bit more information about that? Because I find it really interesting.
I'd say it all comes down to trust and partnerships. If you're any size of business, you want to have something you can rely on. You want to be able to turn up at work every day, and if you're going to view something, you want to know it's going to stay on there. And that's true of whether it's your first t-shirt, or if you're a bigger company, it's your 10 millionth t-shirt. If you're the NFL, who knows how many they've manufactured over the years. But I think they want someone they can trust, and that's the reason the last 10-15 years, Stahl's gets invited back every year by the NFL to do the draft. So that means that when a player gets picked out of college for a pro team, they get a jersey and they appear on stage within like a couple of minutes. But some of our colleagues in the US are there next to the stage, heat printing that jersey, because they don't always know who's going to get picked by which team. So, and then obviously that player can't be appearing on the stage with a jersey with a number peeling off, because that would be really embarrassing for everyone involved. So that when it comes to high pressure printing situations, they just turn to someone that they know is going to get it perfect every time. And that's why all the big brands turn to Stahl's and Hottronics machines and ultracolor heat transfers, because they know that they've got reliability from them, and they don't want to have to think about, is something going to happen to them? They can just fuse it, and they know it's going to be fine. It's going to look perfect, and it's going to look great time after time, wash after wash. But every single one of those products that are available to the big brands are available to absolutely everyone. So the exact same products that were used at the draft or the World CrossFit Games are all available in every single continent for every single one. So everyone that's watching now can have exactly the same products.
Yeah, we stock them here in this very building, just behind that wall.
Yeah, and Ultracolor Max, the direct film transfer, ships next working day now as well. So it means that you don't even have to wait for your products anymore. So turnaround is absolutely rapid on all of these products as well.
Yeah, and that's a major USP for any size business, whether you just printing your first batch of t-shirts or whether you're on your 100th order. It's knowing that you've got that quality product and being able to say to your customers, no, I can guarantee you this is the best thing on the market. That's major for any business, regardless of the size.
Yeah, and the feedback that we get a lot is one of the main things for clinching new business or keeping existing business is turnaround time. So the quicker you can turn around your products for your customer, the more business you'd like to get. So that's why we always pride ourselves on having the quickest turnaround time for machines, materials transfers in the UK, because we want to make sure that you're secure in that business. So we're always here to help.
Yeah, that's something I said in a recent YouTube video, actually. It's just one of the many things that we at Target Transfers do to help make your business better. And that is the whole reason why we're here, to help other printers run successful, profitable businesses. That's literally why we sit here and do this podcast.
So anyone that's joining us later, it's a live podcast today. So it's the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So we want to do a special Q&A to kind of answer any of your questions. So if you've got questions, no matter which platform you're joining us on, leave a comment and we'll answer those for you. I can see a few more coming in.
Bill on Instagram has said happy first year anniversary.
Thanks, Phil. That was one of our favourite episodes, I think.
One of our original podcasts,
Yeah.
yes. Joins every week without fail. We love it.
Phil has a fantastic backstory around about how he was testing our transfers. So if anyone's not listened to the episode with 34 North, do go back and listen to it. Because
the freezer story.
Yeah, so
the freezer story.
Phil was producing products that were going to be going like sub-zero temperature environments. So he was testing with our transfers and putting water on them, putting them in the freezer. So it's better to hear it in his words because it's a fantastic story. But if you go back and search one of our past episodes, you'll be able to find it very easily. But one of the questions I want to ask everyone is just to leave us a comment to let us know what you'd like to hear more of on the podcast. Is there anything that you would like to know that we've not covered on an episode that we're always happy to do a deep dive on a particular topic. So leave us a comment if there's something that you're particularly interested in, if you think there's a guest that you think that we really should have on, or a topic that we should cover that's loosely related to anything with your business. It could be marketing, it could be accounting or finance even. We can cover absolutely anything on here. So I'd love to know what people's favorite things were to hear about. Also,
if you run a business that you think would be good to come and feature as a guest, we're always happy to have new and different stories to tell on the podcast. So if you want to reach out and want to come on the podcast, Andy and myself, do let us know.
And as a special thank you for everyone that's joining us live today. So this is just for people that are joining us live. If you're buying anything over the next day or two and you put the code podcast into the coupon box, you'll get 10% off. But this is only a very short living code, so it's only going to last for 24 hours. So special thank you for everyone that's joining us live. Chance for you to save a little bit more money as well.
10% off everything,
bundles, transfers, vinyl, absolutely everything.
That's a lot, especially for buying a heat press.
Exactly. What we got?
We haven't got anything yet on Instagram. We're pretty quiet.
Okay, so what someone wants to know, what can I expect next? So I guess that's sort of what's going to happen in the second year of the podcast, I guess. Perhaps.
Well, I would quite like to do some more live podcast recordings. Obviously not every week because we do live videos every Friday and there's a lot on our video schedule. But I would maybe every so often like to do a live one and do live Q&A for everyone. We've got a lot of good episodes coming up. We've got our MD Martin Borley coming back on about something which you may or may not have seen on sort of social media recently, the Target Academy, which has launched. So we're going to talk to him about that in a bit more detail, which for entrepreneurs and business owners out there, I think will be a really good episode and an insight into what they can expect from that. We've got our partners coming back on for different things over the next year. There's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff planned. We can't tell you about absolutely everything, but we're always trying to think of different topics that we can cover to make sure that we're helping you. But that's why I kind of wanted to ask the question about what you'd like to hear about and who you'd like to have come join us and visit us, because it's always interesting to hear people's stories, and we'd love to share that with absolutely all of you as well.
So definitely leave us a comment or DM us with suggestions if you have any, because we would love to hear them. And like I said previously, we do all of this for you guys. So, Andy and I can come up with podcast ideas until we're blue in the face. But if you guys don't want to hear them, then it's, no good. So let us know what we're doing. We've had another question on Instagram.
Okay.
Marcus would like to know if we can offer any help with reducing scorch marks on polyester t-shirts using your transfers.
Absolutely. There's always solutions for polyester tops, because we know it can be a bit of a problem for people. For anyone that's never heat printed onto polyester and they're not sure what Marcus is talking about, basically polyester is a very heat sensitive material. So once it gets to a certain temperature, it gets a little bit unhappy and it doesn't really want to have heat activating the material. So sometimes you get a bit of a shine or a little bit of a box around where the platen is, because the polyester is just so heat sensitive. But there are solutions to this. As with everything, we've always think of something for everyone. So the first solution, if you're doing polyester, is to try a ultra color transfer. So this is our water-based ink transfer, and this fuses at 120 degrees. So
very low.
Yeah, a lot of polyester is actually the fuse temperatures, the kind of burn temperatures around about 130, 135 degrees.
Yeah.
So it means you might solve most problems just by doing your fusing with ultra color. Even if it's single color, the ultra color product might just be enough to solve that problem.
Oh, so we've had a follow-up, and it says currently on the 120 degree and 12 seconds with medium. It says press, but I'm assuming that means pressure.
Okay, so it might just be that this polyester in particular is really, really heat sensitive.
Yeah.
Which we've come across, and as Molly was saying earlier, we were doing some further testing on this only yesterday morning. So the stage 2 for Marcus is to try the Grip Flex. So this is about £60 for a Grip Flex sheet, and you can use this for most heat sensitive products. So like not just polyester, but things like suede or fleece or anything that's kind of
fleece is a big one.
Yeah. So I would try that as my next port of call, because that is it's quite a low cost solution, and it will cover most polyester. So that is one option. The other option is to perhaps test a few different brands of a garment for the polyester. It could be that particular polyester is going to be a problem no matter what, because the next solution off that is slightly more expensive. So that's why I'd say try testing a few different things, because we tested a 100%. Was it 100% polyester, 100% nylon Ordis? The Just Cool?
The Just Cool ones were 100% polyester.
Yeah.
We did a white and a pink on those.
Yeah, so the white obviously is not going to mark up, but the pink one is fluorescent pink, and we fused Ultra Color Max, which actually fuses at 145 degrees, and we didn't get a mark on it.
No.
So it might just be, it's worth considering trying a few different types of polyester.
We also did the luminous yellow, which came out perfectly fine. Black transfer on that. We've had another follow-up from Marcus. He's just said, many thanks from the MDH teamwear and trophies, using plenty of your transfers at the minute.
So try a few different brands of polyester as well. Like I said, we had some really good results with the Just Cool range from Ordis when we didn't even need to use a Grip Flex on that, actually. So maybe try just a couple of options, because you can put loads of transfers on each one and find out
what method works. We did that yesterday, didn't we? It was like transfers all over one particular t-shirt with different methods of how we did them. Yeah,
because we don't want to. We don't want to be irresponsible and sell you an expensive solution if there's an easy solution to it.
Yeah.
But if all else fails, then it's time to talk power patterns. So,
I do love a power pattern.
Yeah, some stuff is going to be heat sensitive no matter what. It might just be heat sensitive at even 80 degrees, because 120 for a transfer, which we have our ultra color, is the lowest fusing temperature for any heat transfer in the market. So it can't be, there's nothing that fuses lower than that.
Yep.
So in that case, it's just that polyester is just so heat sensitive. So we have what we call a power pattern, but it's a lower heated pattern. So what this means is we have an additional pattern which you can attach to your Hotronics machine, and it provides most of the heat from inside the garment. So it means that 120 degrees is on the inside. So you can take the top of your press down to 100 or 110 degrees. So all of the magic for the application is done on the inside of the top. So it means that worst case scenario, there's a mark on the inside. It rarely even gets a mark on the inside with a power pattern, because it's a bit softer, but it's all the heat is done on the inside, but you can still put the pressure through it to make sure the application works well, so it washes time after time after time. And we've used some really difficult products with it over the last couple of years since it came out. And it's compatible with nearly all Hotronics machines. Just check on the website before you order one. But if you think that might be the way you've got to go down, just watch some of the videos that we've done about it. We've got lots more content coming up very soon over the next couple of months with regards to heat printing. But if it's an immediate need and solution you need, just get in touch. We can go into a bit more detail about it. But if in doubt, the power pattern will definitely solve it, because we've fused onto some really difficult stuff just yesterday even.
Yeah, the difference between on those higher sensitive or more sensitive materials, the difference from just using a normal platen and release paper to the power platen, it was a completely different garment. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's definitely a solution. but just try and work through the steps, go from cheapest through to most expensive to find that solution for you.
And that's the same with the heat presses. When people come in and say, oh, I want, I don't know, say a dual air fusion, but they're best suited to the fusion or the auto open, we're not going to sell you the most expensive press, because if it's not what your business needs, because we want to try and help you make the most effective decision for your business. And it's the same with, troubleshooting issues.
Yep.
Okay, you got more questions?
We've got a few more questions coming in.
Go for it.
Someone from Zambia has joined us, and they're interested in the business, and they'd like to know what to do if we want to have an online styles can, also how to purchase the A to Z machine. So the A to Z machine is only available in the US. The best equivalent for you in Europe or Africa will be either the Max Press or the Auto Open Heat Press, or if it's really the swing you want, it would be the Hotronix Fusion IQ. The best way to get products into Africa is to go through our Styles Europe. So we are on every continent, but Africa is looked after by our colleagues in Europe. So if you go to styleseurope.com, you'll be able to pop your details in, and then we'll be able to provide you with the best person in your area to find the best way to get those products to you. Because again, it's shipping from the UK to Africa will be a little bit expensive. So we want to make sure we find someone local to you that can get you the best price for the whole package, including shipping that way. But absolutely every single country in the world could get hold of a Hotronix machine, and that way absolutely every business can have the best of the best that way. So we can always help you, Aubrey, to make sure we get the right products to you. But it's very easy to get an account with Styles. Just go to styleseurope.com if you're in Africa. And we've got another question from Connor. I'd like to know, how many orders do you get in a week?
Do we get in a week?
Honestly, we can't give you the exact answer to that, but
too many to count.
Yeah. But I would say that we are printing from 4 a.m. till midnight. So that kind of perhaps gives you an idea about just how much work that we go through. And we all do this with exactly the same turnaround, no matter how many orders. So if you're ordering one with Ultracolor Max, or if you're ordering 10,000, our turnaround is always the absolute quickest available to everyone. So we are very, very busy.
And just to note, that's not just one printer, that's multiple printers in the back.
That's it.
Running for that amount of time in the day. So
that's it. So we've got lots and lots of machines running. So that means that no matter what volume comes through, which is, as Molly says, is a lot, we're always available to help. But yeah, we're printing all day long. I've got multiple shifts. So we're keeping very busy. But that's what happens when you have the UK's leading heat transfers.
Well, I've got to keep the customers happy.
And this applies to absolutely every continent as well. Like in Europe, or if you're in the US, you can get exactly the same turnaround, exactly the same products everywhere. So you can have a really nimble business that way. We've got quite a few people joining us on LinkedIn today, which is nice. A question from Kevin, who would like to put some names onto some cycling shorts, in brackets Lycra. Again, this is absolutely possible. So depending if they're single color, multicolor, the volume, we've got a solution for everything. We have very special stretchy vinyls. We have vinyl that has dye blocking. So if those cycling shorts have been heavily dyed, because they're perhaps a particularly bright and wonderful color, then we have options for you there as well. So all you need is a heat press and some transfers or some vinyl. All we've tested onto cycling shorts and Lycra before, and we've had absolutely no problems with it. It's just a case of making sure you use something with stretch in it. So in this instance, all our transfers would be fine. You might just need the ones with the blocker if it's dyed, or something like Premium Plus or Silicon or Premium Plus Subby Blocker, depending if you want it to be white onto those shorts. But
they're vinyl products.
Just make sure you've got stretch. Everything's got lots of stretch in it, because we know that you might want to put your transfers or vinyl onto T-shirts as well as Lycra.
I just want to clarify as well, I had a couple of questions about the Subby Blocker transfers this week, and people asking which transfer option to choose if they want blocker. You can have blocker in both screen and ultracolor transfers. it's just an extra something that we add in to stop that dye migration. It's not a completely separate product. So when you go onto the website, you just choose either Screen or Ultra, but the subly blocking version of that transfer, and then the print quality and everything else will be the same.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, we had a few people asking about that.
Any more questions from Instagram?
No, we just have people saying that they're glad that we're doing a live today. Happy first year anniversary to the podcast, but no questions.
Okay, we've got another question. Are we doing any more events?
Oh, we are. We have some in the works, don't we? We haven't secured a date yet for the next one, but we are talking to said partner who will be co-hosting it next week. So that's exciting.
Yep. So I'm hopefully by anyone that joins us next Friday for the live, we're doing a special hat event next Friday. But hopefully, as Molly said, we'll have some answers for you for the next in-person event, which will be in the early summer probably. But we will be doing lots of in-person events this year. So anyone that's new to us or has not come to one of our events before, so we did a couple of bigger events that are actually here in Braintree in the Target HQ. So we had in October, we had the Bella Canvas launch event. So this was when they introduced their new colours to the UK. They came here and did a nice launch. So you could come and see all the brand new colours of T-shirts and matching sets about 3 or 4 months before anyone else got the chance to.
Exclusive, yeah.
Yep, and then we did the Graph Tech event as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
So where we taught lots of people how to use vinyl properly, kind of did a bit of myth busting around cutting technique for things like high build, which is a little bit harder to use. And Graph Tech came down and did some presentations, showed you how to use the software properly, lots of things like that. So we do have lots of events planned. And again, we're always open to feedback. We'd always love to hear what you'd love to see as an event, because I'm sure that we can find a way of factoring that either into a live or some videos that go onto our YouTube channel as well.
I would also like to ask everyone to comment below whether they prefer a morning, afternoon or evening event.
Yep.
Because we've done all of them in the past, some of which have had more interest than others, but it's never a consistent pattern with like time of day. And obviously we want to put events on at the best time for you to come. So just let us know in the comments when you would prefer that to be, because obviously if some people are running their print business full time, they might be able to come in the day, or alternatively they might not.
Yep.
Or if people are running it as a side hustle and they have 9 to 5s, they might not be able to attend in the day. So yeah, just let us know what time you'd like an event to be.
Yeah.
Do we have another question?
A question on Facebook. We're just getting into the world of print. We have a heat press, clearly not that great. Any press you'd recommend for a startup? They're doing workwear, stag, hen type products.
Mine would probably be either the Hotronix Auto Open Heat Press. This is like a favorite for startups.
Yep.
Or depending on your budget and what you want your heat press to be able to do. If you're doing like workwear and things, the Fusion IQ might be better because of the swing motion. But either way, the Hotronix heat presses are 100% the way to go.
So heat presses, for anyone that's not sure, the kind of starting price for a Hotronix is about £720.
Yeah. Which for a quality heat press, that's pretty good.
And the difference you pay for with Hotronix presses is the quality of and consistency of the heating. So one of the warranties that we put in is that every single heating element, which is the top part of the platen, has a lifetime warranty on it.
Yeah.
So that's how you can get peace of mind across all of the Hotronix range, that you're always going to have a really consistent product. But if you're switching between workwear and sort of stag hen type products, one of the things I would say I would make sure that you've got the option of interchangeable lower platens.
100%.
Because lots of workwear tends to have zips, or if you're doing high vis, it's the seams. And to be able to make sure you can print properly, it's being out. You might want a separate lower platen for different things, so pockets and things, so you can isolate areas. What this means is that if you're new to print, James, is that if you've got like a pocket or a pouch like on the front, that seam is going to be the highest point where the pressure is measured from. So if it's like a workwear jacket in particular, they've got lots of chunky parts to them. So what you can do is pop the bottom part out. And we've got loads of videos on this. So if you're not sure, go onto our Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, watch some of the old videos back where you can see us pop in, pop out the bottom platen. And this helps to isolate the area. So you have a smaller bottom part. So it means all the zips and the seams can hang off the side and they don't interfere with the decorating process. So I'd definitely go for a Hotronix branding machine because that's where you get the changeable platens. Because I think that'd be really helpful if you're having a sort of a few different types of market as your to feed into your business.
And also, while we're talking presses, for those of you watching, and especially for you, James, if you are thinking of changing heat presses and getting the Hotronix, we have bundles available on our website, but just for May, we've increased the transfer credit that you can get on these bundles. So, for example, on some of them, instead of like 100, it's 200. Instead of 150, it's double to 3. So you can get sort of a lot more transfer credit for no extra cost. Just for the month of May when you buy a heat press bundle. So I would definitely recommend checking those out if it's something you're considering doing, because you're essentially getting free transfers with it. And if you're going to end up buying that press eventually anyway, you may as well make the most of £200-300 free transfer credit.
And they're live on targettransfers.com/bundle already.
We have another question. People are very chatty today. I'm enjoying this.
Which heat press do you recommend for printing caps?
The 360 IQ, of course. The favourite, the ultimate, the only hat press you need to know about in 2023. There are other options available if that's not within your budget, but it doesn't take that many caps to pay off. What did we work out it to be, like, was it 12 or something along those lines?
It's not very many a month, like 10 a month or something like that.
Minimal caps per month to pay it off, and it's 100% worth it. So yeah, we're good.
I think we're getting a hand signal saying it's 9.
8. It's 8 hats per month. Thank you, Beth.
8 hats a month. So because there's a lot of profit in hats at the moment, it's a really good time to get into hat printing, I would say as well. I would encourage everyone today. If anyone's interested in seeing the 360 in action, we're going to be doing a special live event next Friday at 12 p.m. and we're going to be talking everything hats. It's a hat special. Got lots of hat-based content going out over the next week. So if you're interested in hat printing, we're going to be covering everything you need to know next week. Because there's some really cool things you can do with hats with the 360. So the 360 heat press has lower heat on it. So this means anything like woven patches or embroidered patches, high build vinyl, really chunky vinyl, you can get some really great results from it. It's really, really easy once you've done it a few times. So that is one I definitely recommend you join us for that one, Julie, because you can ask me lots of questions as we go along. So if you're unsure about what's going on,
you can demo
we can demo, and it's going to be it's a really exciting market to be going into.
Can I just jump on Instagram quickly? We've had a question saying, do you do any discounts for first orders for heat transfers? Initially, no, because our transfers are the most cost-effective, competitive pricing on the market. However, we do have bundles with custom heat transfer credit available so that you can get more transfer credit for what you pay for it. So that's an option. And
we just got a follow-up question from Judy, who would like to know what price you sell hats at. And this is a kind of there's a lot of variables to this one. It really depends on the market, who your customer is, because there's a big difference between if you're selling it for, say, sort of workwear or fulfillment, then you might be selling it sort of like £10-15 at that point. But if you're selling it as a brand, you could be charging £35 for it.
Either of which have a very good profit margin.
Exactly, yeah. So the average price of buying a hat is probably about £3 or £4, and that includes like all hat types, so beanies, snapbacks, absolutely anything that you could put branding on, and the price of decorating them is sort of like somewhere between 50p and £1.50 probably. It's really inexpensive, so it's very easy to make a lot of profit with hats, and they take about sort of 40 seconds to decorate once you know how. But we will cover some of these examples next week, including pricing of the hats that we use in the demonstrations, the pricing of all the decoration types and methods that we're using as well.
and how to fuse over seams, which is a
Yep.
big one. So if you want to know how to fuse over like 6 panel
Yep.
caps right over them for them to last a lifetime, then make sure you're on that live.
Yeah, so we'll be doing some heat printing with hats that have a higher perceived value as well. So they will be ones that you can charge even more money for, but they don't actually cost you as the decorator anything more.
No, we don't have any more questions. I was just checking.
What else have we got? Okay, this is more of a technical question. I think you want to take this one, Molly?
Oh dear. Any tips for starting a podcast? If I'm being perfectly honest, my very first tip would be just to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of your like technical setup. I remember
Yeah.
our first podcast, we were in, like I said, the conference room that we have here at Target HQ. Just at the corner of the table, we had one mic between the two of us. It was blurry camera, the audio wasn't great, but we did it, and we did the first season or 2 seasons of our podcast like that. And I think if you wait until you've got the perfect setup, you're never going to do it. You always need to grow and learn. And I think that's the biggest part. You need to learn on the job rather than prepping beforehand. Like there's so many things that we've done. And then after the podcast, we've gone, oh, we should have done this, or, oh, we can do that next time to make it better. And you wouldn't know those things unless you've done it. So I think that's probably my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice would be block out any echo or audio issues that you might have, and do a lot of research beforehand before you purchase any equipment. Don't just go and buy like a podcast bundle from, I don't know, like a tech store somewhere. Look into what you're buying, and make sure that you have an interesting topic to talk about. If you have a podcast but you don't really know what you're supposed to be talking about, or it's not aimed at a particular target market, then you're not going to know who you're talking to. You got any tips? That's probably what I would say.
I'd say, the audio one is probably the biggest one, is to get that one correct, because then is to generate some thick skin, because that'll be the thing that people moan about the most.
It's the hardest
when you
thing
start
to get
putting
right as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're using these Yeti blue mics, and they work really well for us.
Yeah.
We also use we've used Rode wireless mics for when we're doing interviews at shows and stuff, and they get really good quality.
Yeah, they're really good.
And if we've got some simple soundboards up in front of us at the moment, but if you're just doing it at home or someone like that, it's just to try and put make sure your curtains are drawn and put some face towards the sofa or something anything that can
soft to cushion the noise,
cushion sound. But then like you say, it's just to do it, and just maybe map out the first 3 or 4 episodes and just record all of them together. So then you can get started that way.
Yeah. No, it's not as daunting as it seems. I think initially, once you get the ball rolling, it just sort of flows, doesn't it?
Okay, so we've only got maybe another minute or 2 left of today's live. So if you've got any questions you haven't asked us yet, do get those comments in really quickly, so we can get them answered. But I just want to just another call to action, just to make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, or you're following us on Facebook, because we do put the podcast out every single Thursday at 11. And we go live every single Friday lunchtime at 12, and we will be doing that again next week with hats.
Yeah. Sorry, I got my days confused. It feels like today should be Thursday because we're doing the podcast, but it's not. It's Friday, which means we're not here tomorrow. I was going to say we're going live tomorrow, but I definitely won't be.
No.
And we also have lots of new YouTube videos going up every week as well. So not everything we do is like super long form. We obviously have the podcast and live, so people that want to chat and ask us more questions and listen to things more in depth. But we do also have a lot of quicker, to the point, helpful, educational videos on our YouTube that go out every single week as well. So lots of stuff on there, and a call to action for the bundles as well. This is probably one of the biggest custom transfer credit giveaways that we've ever done. It won't be happening again for a while once May is over. So if you are thinking about it, do it in May. Like we said, targettransfers.com/bundle. And I think that's pretty much it. We haven't had any further questions.
Okay. So don't forget, you've got 24 hours to use the code podcast to get 10% off an order.
So many offers.
And then it's gone. It won't be back again till this time next year.
Is this on both websites? Or?
On all available ordering areas. So if you want to order transfers or
presses
or vinyl, whatever you want, we've got you covered.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for joining us, everyone.
Thanks.
And we'll be back next Thursday.
Thank you very much, everyone.